For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, we got news about the Switch 2, that game that Valve doesn't want anyone to talk about, and an interesting game getting delayed. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Lucy James, everybody. Lucy, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing all right, thank you. I was just thinking this is my last show for a couple weeks because I'm going to Gamescom.
Yes, yeah, we got some Gamescom news. We'll talk seems like it's going to be a pretty decent show. Probably going to be able to see some fun stuff. I think Opening Night Live is going to be a good time. So, yeah, you've been to Gamescom a bunch of times, right? Like as a veteran, what is your go-to of like making sure you have a good show over there?
I think this is my 10th Gamescom.
Holy moly.
Yeah, so in the UK you go all the time because it's just a hop over the pond. My go-to, honestly, shower more times than you think you need to because it's so hot over there. Last year, I think I averaged 2.3 showers. Per day.
Right. So there was a couple days where there were 3 showers, but at least 2 showers a day.
At least 2 showers a day.
Okay. Yeah,
because it's so hot.
Sure.
Hot. And it's also, I love Gamescom because it's massive.
Dan and Mike are worried that the hotel won't have air conditioning. Is that a concern that they should have?
I think it has air conditioning. Most hotels have air conditioning.
Yeah, well,
it's like people's houses don't have air conditioning.
Right. Well, Dan is in a hotel in London right now, and he can't sleep at night because it doesn't have air conditioning, I guess, or it doesn't work very well. One or the other. But that's that's not Gamescom. That's not Cologne. It's not like going for a big industry event.
No.
It probably has air conditioning.
I think you're really fine. Also, I mean, the hotel that I stayed in last year was a race car themed hotel. So when you got in the lift, it would make like a vroom noise. So
that's incredible. So
hopefully Dan is staying there. I don't think he is, but
yeah, that'd be ideal for Dan, big race car guy. I'm excited for you all. I wish I was able to come next time. I've never been to Gamescom, so would like to make that happen sometime. And I don't know if Dan's been, but I know Mike hasn't been, so you guys could show them a good time.
Yes.
And you guys come back with some fun stuff, and we'll put it on the site. I think I really like the general idea of Giant Bomb on the road, doing bombcasts from Germany and all that stuff, doing a voicemail dump truck from Germany. That's a really good time. So people should definitely tune in next week for a lot of fun stuff. And then for the home crew, we'll be doing Opening Night Live and all that good stuff. We'll talk over it and making sure that people can keep up with what's going on as best we can. We'll have Game Mess Mornings as well, so definitely tune in for all that. But when do you take? Do you like leave like on the weekend next Sunday? Because it's Tuesdays when things get started, right? What's going on?
Leave on Monday and I get there Tuesday morning. So
snap. Okay.
Gonna need to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that. You guys. We'll have a good time, I'm sure, though. It's just go there and have a good time. That's mostly what it's going to be about for Giant Bomb. I'm pretty sure you're busy with a bunch of other stuff, but for the Giant Bomb stuff, just make it fun. All right, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Switch 2 is not coming before April 2025, devs reportedly say. This is from Luis Joshua Gutierrez at GameSpot. A number of developers believe the next Nintendo console may not be released until well into 2025. While speaking on the GI podcast, Games Industry podcast, journalist Christopher Dring sought to clear up a popular rumor that Nintendo's successor to the Switch may be released by the end of the fiscal year, which ends on March 31st, 2025. No developer I have spoken to expects it to launch in this financial year. In fact, they've been told not to expect it in this financial year. A bunch of people I spoke to hope it's out still in April or May. So I guess that kind of puts like a little question mark on what they're being told. Not this financial year, but they're not getting any other information beyond that, according to these developers who spoke to Christopher Dring. So Does an April or May launch for a Switch 2 sound right to you, or do you expect it to slip further into 2025?
Sounds right to me. I mean, Switch was what, April 2017?
It was like March, April, yeah.
April, yeah.
It was like March, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that time frame kind of makes sense to me. If it comes at the end of the financial year or in the next one, around that makes sense to me. Like, I feel it was March going to Sean. Yeah, that makes sense to me. It feels weird. Like, I can barely think about what's happening next week, let alone next year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. But it also feels like as we get to, we're in August, it's going to be September soon. It would be weird if like that system, like at a certain point, I was like March, it seems impossible because it's just like that's so soon now. Like we're almost to the point where that's only 6 months away. And yet that's kind of the time frame they operated on with the Switch 1. But I just don't know if they're going to be able to repeat that because they are going to keep trying to sell the Switch, and they were not continuing to sell the Wii U. But regardless, I mean, they know they want to get this system out. There's a lot of financial reasons that they want to get it out in terms of the Switch 1 is slowing down. The Switch 2, they want to have kind of a peaceful transfer of power there and just kind of keep as much momentum going as possible. But I think they're also in a world where, if it is like, suddenly it's coming out in May, like, yeah, you could release a new video game system in May. But I think once you get into the summer months, I think Nintendo would be a little bit more hesitant about that. Like, I don't think June, July release really is on the table. And I think that would then make it so they'd be like, okay, never mind. We'll just wait until the fall. We'll put it out in September or something like that. So I think there's a chance it comes out in April and May, but if I'm Nintendo, I could easily see them making the decision to slip it later in the year very easily. Yeah. But either way, like, it's going to dominate next year. One of the things that Dring said is that he's worried about the Switch 2 coming out, or the developers are worried about the Switch 2 coming out at the same time as Grand Theft Auto 6, because they're like, that would be just a mad crunch that no one would know how to handle. So they're going to try to avoid that. But I don't think Nintendo would care about that, right?
No, I think out of anyone who would care about it, Nintendo's probably the people who don't care. I mean, Nintendo historically, obviously moving towards the family market. GTA definitely doesn't aim to be part of the family market, but the kids love it anyway. I think, no. Yeah, I mean, that's, depending on if GTA hits full. I know they said in the recent earnings report that they were still on track, but anything can happen in the next year, so...
Yeah, I think as easy as it would be for the Switch 2 to slip into the holiday season of 2025, I think it's even easier for Grand Theft Auto 6 to go from fall to early 2026. That seems to me that I'm almost expecting that. And if they don't have another delay, because right now they've not had a public delay. They've maybe like moved the game around Grand Theft Auto 6 internally, but they've said 2025, and that's all they've said. Usually that game gets at least one public delay as well. So I that series. So we'll see. But yeah, this lines up with what I was expecting from Nintendo after they said publicly in a financial report that they will announce the Switch 2 this fiscal year. And so they'll talk about it. But that's all they've ever promised. And once they said that's like, okay, that means we'll probably get it like a little bit later this year, maybe even a trailer early next year. And then they will begin a marketing campaign that leads us easily beyond this fiscal year, which ends March 31st. A few other things about the Switch 2. I'm always curious as when we have these conversations, like where your expectations are for price, for launch games. Where do you think Nintendo's going to sort of lock in on a price for the Switch 2?
I don't think they'll go too far away from what the Switch came in at. Like, which is what, 300?
Right. The Switch OLED is 350, right? So that gives them a little bit of flexibility to maybe go a little higher, right? I'm expecting 400.
I would. Oh, really? I was gonna say lower. I was gonna say 300, like to really lock in that more casual market. I mean, the OLED for 350 is a great price, but that's the thing. Like, we don't really know anything about this machine, if it's gonna be OLED or not, if it's gonna be. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of hoping for a little on the lower side.
I think it's possible when you say that, like, because if they do have it at 300, that would be as much as an Xbox Series S, which I don't think Nintendo cares about all that much, but that would probably look really good, and I think the system would fly off the shelves at that price. I think that the way I'm looking at it is Nintendo has had a $300 Switch, And then instead of lowering the price on that thing, they have released a Switch OLED at $350. So they are trying to edge up the price as like kind of stealthily as they can. And I think that the reason that they have not lowered the Switch's price, even as they are missing targets in the system's eighth year, where they said they would sell 13.5 million units, and they've missed that so far. They're not on pace to hit that, but no price cut yet. And I think the reason is because they want to maintain a high perceived value for these things, as so that they can have some flexibility to sell the next system for a little bit more. I
was gonna say because like the like their games never really lose value either.
Right.
Like they
this
have
generation especially, yes.
Yeah. So I mean 300, maybe that's me being optimistic, but 300 to 400. I
think 300 to 400 is the range we're talking about. If it is 450, 500, then that's kind of silly at that.
Steam Deck territory.
Yeah, and it's it's the other consoles territory as well. And for as much as I prioritize the convenience of portability, I think that when you are putting a system on the market and you are presenting it to consumers, the thing that they're not thinking about, it's so convenient to have this system with me at all times. Some people will be. But I think when they're doing comparison shopping, when they're trying to think, is this thing worth that price? The number one thing they look at is how powerful is it? How good do the games look? How well is a third-party game going to run? Call of Duty is going to look way better on this system, and it costs the same price as the new Nintendo Switch. That's weird. So I think Nintendo wants to avoid those comparisons where possible. And I think you're right that the appeal to a more casual audience is still a priority for Nintendo, because they've dominated selling games to families and they don't want to lose that. So I think that'll keep them anchored to the ground at around 400. 350 might be the sweet spot, honestly. Just keep it at 350. That's like no complaints there from me. Even if the system doesn't have an OLED screen at launch, then they'd release an OLED for 400 down the line. I could easily see that happening.
Yeah.
All right, let's move along here. Valve's new game Deadlock has 20,000 plus concurrent players, despite not even being announced yet. This is from Peter Hegeval at Game Reactor. Upcoming Valve game Deadlock is said to be a mix between Overwatch and Veilguard, a MOBA-inspired hero shooter with aesthetics. Let me turn on the headlines. I just saw someone highlighting that. There you go, everybody. Upcoming Valve game Deadlock, yes, it's a mix between like Team Fortress 2 and Portal, but beyond or the aesthetics are. But beyond June's leak, we know nothing more than that. Despite this, and despite the fact that the game hasn't even been announced yet, it has 23,000 peak concurrent players yesterday, which is remarkable to say the least. We can only assume that this gigantic alpha test also means that Valve is ready to show it off in full. Yeah, it seems like this game's got to be announced here pretty soon. We've seen sort of a hubbubaloo about this game because The Verge wrote about it yesterday. People freaked out. It's like, you're not supposed to write about it. And you signed an NDA, which some games that do these like these early previews do have that thing where it's like, if you agree, here's a bunch of legal text, and if you agree to this, to play to this, you can't talk about it, or there could be some legal action. This game doesn't have that. What it has is a little message that says, can't tell your friends, can't tell anybody about this. And that's all it says. Doesn't come at you with the threat of law. There is definitely no NDA. You don't have to click anything. It doesn't say by playing this game, you're agreeing to some contract. It's just a little message being like, keep it on the DL. It's silly. So whatever. The game exists. 20,000 people are playing it. What are we supposed to do at a certain point? But I think I get the sense that Valve is going to announce this thing here pretty soon. What do you think?
So I feel so stupid. I feel this is like the one thing I feel massively out of the loop on, because I must have missed. Was it leaked? It leaked in June.
So it leaked in June. And then since then, we should cover this because I don't think you're not going to be alone in this. And I would not have really been paying attention to this had I not got an invite.
That's the thing. I got an invite yesterday.
Yep.
But
because friends can invite their friends.
For shit.
We'll go over like the timeline here. But the silliest thing about this idea that people can't like talk about this game because Valve says you can't talk about it is the way that people are getting into the game is their friends are inviting them through a system in the game. Like that is how it works. Right. So just by the nature of what they've set up here, you are telling your friends about the game. It's crazy. But so yeah, it was leaked in June, and it was rumored to be a new first-person shooter, MOBA hero shooter from Valve. So all of those things that you can like, yeah, there's going to be characters with familiar powers. Someone's probably got ice powers and stuff like that. And so that's the leak. And then since then, Valve has started up this invite only alpha test that brings people in and that they can invite their friends. And it's just been growing sort of exponentially. And now we have 20,000 people playing it each day at any one time. So there's actually more people per day playing that. It is, by all accounts, very much a MOBA and very much a first-person shooter that it will have a lot of similarities to Valorant or to Overwatch. But it's going to have all that Valve shine on it, likely. So it does seem like it has a good chance of dominating. And, there are people that are being coy about it on Twitter. I've seen being like, Redacted is one of the best games I've played since Overwatch. So people are having positive vibes about this thing. What do you think Valve's strategy here is, though? Do you think they really mind that people are so excited they can't help but talk about this game?
Well, that's the thing, because I saw Tom Warren's stuff. So Tom Warren wrote impressions about it for The Verge.
That's right.
And then apparently he's now banned from matchmaking in the game. Yeah.
I wonder if it's just the game or if it's in on Steam in total, because I wonder if does Valve have the ability to just block you from one game? They probably do. So they did punish him for writing about the game. Absolutely. It's weird.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So hang on. Tom didn't write the article, but it was who wrote the article. But I saw Tom was the one defending it.
Yeah, Tom. Because it's the Verge article, and Tom's over at the Verge.
Yeah. Sean Hollister, apparently.
Oh, Sean Hollister. Okay. Yes. Strange. I imagine that ban's probably not going to be permanent or anything. Because
just a game ban apparently. And Nilok says it happens to everyone who posts screens.
Okay. All right. So it's just kind of a normal thing here where they're like, okay, they'll stop you from playing the game to kind of slap you on the wrist a little bit. So if it's not like a Steam account ban, they're not taking it too seriously. Either way, the game does seem weird. Ready. Yeah, it's weird. It's strange. And it's building a mystique around the game, right? Where everyone knows this thing exists. There's everyone is playing it except for you, and so you're like, well, I got to go check it out. Like that's it feels like a marketing strategy, and I guess fair play to them. But then when someone writes about it, people should not run to the defense of Valve and be like, this precious marketing strategy must be protected at all costs. Let's get real, people. But hey, you're allowed to feel however you want to feel, and I'm allowed to think you're being an absurd baby child if that's how you feel about it. Oh
my god, my hair this morning, bloody hell!
I think it looks great. You're looking great, Lucy.
At it. Thanks. I don't know. Whole thing's just a very weird rollout. Very, very strange to see the kind of back and forth on it. I think maybe do what you want to do. I just don't think I'm going to spend any of my energy caring about it.
And if people are curious, you can watch people just fucking streaming the thing on TikTok and YouTube and Twitch all the time. I'm not sure exactly what category you'd find it under, but people have been reporting that you can watch people stream it every day. So it's out there. All right, let's keep going. Gamescom Opening Night Live will include new game announcements. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. Gamescom Opening Night Live will include new game announcements as well as updates on previously revealed titles. That's according to show host and producer Jeff Keighley, who used Twitter on Tuesday to tease plans for next week's event. Some of the previously announced games set to be featured include Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Monster Hunter Wilds, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Sid Meier's Civilization 7, Civilization is what I wanted to say there for some reason, Marvel Rivals.
Civilization works. I think we should make it happen.
Okay, that's what we're calling it from now on, everybody. And Dune Awakening. These are the games that have been confirmed to make an appearance here. But he also said, yes, there will also be new game announcements in a follow-up post. That's not even something that he was promising too much of at Summer Game Fest. Gamescom Opening Night Live has always been sort of honestly, it's like a lot of Keighley shows. Except for the Game Awards, which seems to always get big hitters. Summer Game Fest, Opening Night Live, just kind of rises with the tide, right? If there are lots of games waiting to make their big public debut, the show does really well with that stuff. And if there's not, there's nothing that Keighley can do about it. So sounds like some people are getting ready, some studios are getting ready to announce some things, and it lined up with Opening Night Live. what are your expectation levels for this show? Are you do you get excited for opening night live, or do you kind of like try to keep things in check to be like, listen, I'm happy to just have updates on things that have already been announced?
I think opening night live and as well Summer Game Fest for me are exciting in a different way than the game. Like the Game Awards is the big hitters, right? The big stuff is at the end of the year, and so I kind of keep my expectations in check for what opening night live and even Summer Game Fest are going to be. I always think Jeff puts on a good show, and like you said, it's not up to him when development cycles align or marketing strategies align with shows. I mean, obviously devs and publishers and marketers are looking at the calendar and being like, hey, when is the best place to release something, release a new asset or a trailer? I'm intrigued by it. I also wonder because, I mean, I think I just landed and I went to sleep straight away at opening night live last year, so I didn't actually watch it live, but there is kind of a different vibe about games. Like Gamescom used to be you'd have E3 in June, and then you would have all of these showcases, and then you'd have even more of them. You'd have PlayStation and whoever would do it again at Gamescom. So Gamescom has always kind of felt like, oh, it's another event. It's, it's never going to be as big as what E3 was. And now I think the E3 hype train has moved into Game Awards. So
yeah, and it feels like it's kind of like spread out, right? Like
it's the same amount of hype. It's just spread out throughout the year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. All the stuff that would have been focused on E3 is now like mostly fizzled into Summer Game Fest, but some of that has also spilled over into opening night live. And I think a lot of developers and publishers are probably welcoming that because it gives them a few more options to select where they are going to line up these things, because it had to be a pain back in the day to make these assets. And today it's got to be a tremendous challenge to be like, okay, let's get this development team to come over here and spend 2 months, probably a lot more than that, getting something ready for E3, because E3 is going to happen when it happens. It's like, now, well, if we miss that, Keely's got 2 other things later this year, and we could probably get in there because we have a good relationship with one of these big studios, and it's not going to cost us a lot of money to be in the show. Now, also, Lexi's pointing out, like, attending Gamescom, a lot more affordable than maybe even like Summer Game Fest and some other stuff like that. So that also makes sense to be like, that's why a lot of these companies are probably going to be showing their games off to the press there. And I think that is excellent as well, because we are getting to that point of the year now where some of these games are just going to be here before we know it. Yeah. Indiana Jones is one of the bigger ones that'll probably get like a release date and stuff like that.
Hope so.
Yeah, it was about time. But beyond that, like in terms of the new game announcements, Lucy, it is like, where are your expectation levels for those specifically? Like, if you have any guesses, feel free. But like, are you expecting the biggest of the big games, or it's like, so maybe some surprises, maybe some indie games that'll be exciting? What do you think?
I think surprises. I think a mix of indies, and I think a mix of like something interesting that we maybe haven't like suspected for a while. I also wonder if these are going to be games that are more catered towards like the European market, just obviously because given the proximity to Gamescom. Things like obviously simulator games, etc., strategy games tend to do better in Europe. Obviously they have their fans over in America, don't get me wrong, but like, I don't think everyone would be. I think
there's like usually, I want to say there's usually like a farming simulator booth at Gamescom, right?
Oh no, there is. So a few years ago when I was at Gamescom, Angela Merkel was there, and she was at the farming simulator. She was at the farming sim.
Hell yeah, booth. That rules.
So you never know.
Angela Merkel, former leader of the free world, everybody. Yeah, I still want to go to Gamescom. That's the kind of stuff that makes me want to go. I think they have like those giant tractors or whatever they're called, compresses, whatever. Combines. Thank you. Harvesters? Yeah, combine harvesters. Thank you, Lucy James. Combine Harvester Weekly reader, Lucy James over here. Lucy Grains. It's Lucy Games. There we go. All right, Gamescom coverage will be coming on this site and on GameSpot, so stick around for all of that. We'll have plenty to talk about, I'm sure. Again, very excited to hear everyone's reports from the ground. The tentative plan for the talkover is I'll get some chuckle fucks together. We'll get me back, Laura. We'll probably have Sean, Nikki. We'll see who's available. We'll talk over it. But as it wraps, we'll try to get you all in on Discord, and you can patch us in and tell us what your thoughts are with it from the ground. So And then, yeah, lots of other coverage.
If I'm awake at that point.
Exactly. Who knows? Yeah.
I land at 10:30 in the morning. Odds are on me being awake until 10 at night.
Jan can just take a picture of you before you go to bed, and he can just hold that up while he's talking, because I won't let Jan go to sleep. So there you go.
Just the saddest person in Germany be me.
All right. Let's take a quick break. When we get back, some other announcements, and I'm going to be like kind of sad about this Crow movie. That looks really bad. It's going to be in Call of Duty. We'll be right back after this. All right, we are back, and let's talk about a delay for Replaced, which is now coming in 2025. This is from Sal Romano at Gamatsu. Publisher Coatsink and developer Sad Cat Studios have delayed science fiction retro-futuristic action platformer Replaced from its previously planned 2024 release window to 2025. It will still be available on Xbox and PlayStation and PC. Oh, no, Xbox. Yeah, that's right. It's Xbox Series, Xbox One, and PC, and the Epic Game Store, and it will be available through Epic Game Pass. I think Microsoft's helping out with that, so maybe it's not on PlayStation or Switch at first. Yeah,
it was in the.
You're breaking up a little bit, Lucy. Start that one again. I think you're back now. So it was in what now?
He's right. Replaced. Oh, okay.
No, I think you're okay.
It was in the
now.
Xbox Showcase, right? Replaced, or was it in Summer Game Fest? I forget.
Yeah, it was one of those. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I do remember. Like, I remember seeing it and be like, oh yeah, this game was announced a long time ago, I think, and it looked really stunning. I got some video I'll bring up here for everybody here. Let me just get that going. It still looks really great. I'm very excited about this, but it's also one of those that seems like it needs as much time as possible, because these indie studios that have this level of perfection that they're going for, they have a vision, they want to nail it. And this thing has a ton of style. And I think if they do get everything right, it has the chance to be a breakout hit. I think so. I don't blame them. I think there were some previews recently that mentioned that, hey, it is very cool, but performance isn't great. So that's the concern there.
Playable at some Game Fest. It was next to Stalker on the show floor. I remember that.
Yes. So, that makes sense, because those were both Xbox things. So, Lucy, I think we're losing you again. You there? Okay. I'll keep trudging along.
Yeah, there. Keep going.
Yep, I'll keep trudging along.
Can I leave and come back, because I can mess you?
Absolutely. No, you're fine. Go ahead and do that right now. You're all good. Oh, and there's Kirby. So let's go over here. All right. Let's. I'm gonna actually just hit this next one. The Crow is coming to Call of Duty next week. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. Activision has begun teasing a Call of Duty crossover with The Crow, confirming an earlier leak. The video below suggests an operator based on The Crow will be released for Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone on August 22nd as part of Call of Duty Season 5 Reload. All right, there we go. Let's see there. Okay. Lucy, have you seen the preview for this new The Crow?
It doesn't look good, does it?
It doesn't look very good. That's really, I think the big problem is it looks better than a lot of the sequels to the original Crow, but and the Edward Furlong, I think Edward Furlong did a Crow, maybe someone did a Crow movie. It was really bad. But that character's so iconic for me. And I think like kind of maybe even the generation right before me, like a very Gen X like icon, and they just don't have the juice for this new movie at all when it comes to that. So I saw this headline, The Crow is coming to Call of Duty. Fantastic. I love The Crow. And then I remembered, oh, it's the new Crow with Bill Skarsgård. I'm one of the Skarsgårds. I don't know. And
which Skarsgård is it?
Yeah, they are.
Crow remake.
Yeah, Crow remake Skarsgård.
It is Bill, and FKA Twigs is in it. That guy from Danny Houston, who was in Black Mirror, is in it.
Yeah, it seems like it has a sort of level of interest from good actors and everything, and even filmmakers that I thought maybe there's a chance it's okay. Probably won't be.
I mean, hold up. This is directed by the guy who did Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, no. Okay, well, so that's going to be about as good as Borderlands.
Snow White and the Huntsman.
Oh, no. Okay. All right, well, listen. The movie's probably going to be bad. It almost certainly is going to be bad. But I was like, hey, The Crow looks cool, make him look cool, and they just don't even have that. So bummed out that this Call of Duty event is going to have that Crow and not the original Brendan Lee, I should say. Yeah, big fan of that. If people haven't seen that, that's a good movie. Go watch that original Crow.
Looking at the new Crow's Wikipedia page, apparently Bradley Cooper was in talks to play the lead. This is back in 2011. Rumors of Channing Tatum, Ryan Gosling, James McAvoy. Ooh, it was a Weinstein joint. Tom Hiddleston was in talks. Alexander Skarsgård was in talks.
Okay.
Oh my god. Okay, if you look at the development of this movie, it's oh my god, yeah, this is a meaty read. And then yeah, they got Bill Skarsgård.
Right. I kind of vaguely remember this. This was like troubled for quite some time. It had a lot going on. Yeah, Channing Tatum would have been a good Crow. That's right, Chad. I've not seen Deadpool versus Wolverine or whatever that was called. No. Have you seen it
Someone
yet?
was streaming it on TikTok. I'm not going to.
Okay.
Someone was streaming it on TikTok last night. As I was scrolling, they were just playing the whole movie. You know what? So on FPS last week, Jake and Ralph were talking about it, and I think I must have pulled a face because so many comments were like, "Why does Lucy hate Deadpool?" And it's like, I just think don't like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, my wife was telling me this in the car the other day. She also just doesn't like Ryan Reynolds, and I'm like, I
think I'm just done with his
argument.
Shtick.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same shtick, and so if you're over it, what else does he got? Like, I get that some people, many people think he's very handsome. I think he's very handsome, but that's also going to wear off over time. There's a lot of handsome people and that don't do that shtick. So, yeah, I get it. I don't know. I probably will see that movie at some point, but I might wait till it comes home.
But also, it feels like Hugh Jackman was a very nice, polite boy, and he is being. He's becoming annoying through pure association with Ryan Reynolds and Ryan Reynolds' shtick.
Yeah, I think the whole idea is like he yells at him a lot in the movie, but you're still right. Like he's being tainted a little bit.
Yeah, he's been tainted by association. And also just leave Rob McElhenney alone. Leave him alone.
Did you see the there was a clip of Rob McElhenney and Glenn doing a talk on a stage, and then someone asked about Ryan Reynolds, and Glenn's face just drops.
Just immediately drops.
It was very funny.
I was like, God.
Oh, disgusting. Anyway, Bill Skarsgård's the Crow's going to be in Call of Duty because we just live in a weird time, and this is the kind of thing we deal with. Lionsgate, doing that Crow movie, I think they also did Borderlands. So they might have might have a real bad 2024. They might just be done with movies after this. I don't know. Might go back to making gates for Lions. I don't know what business they were in originally, but this is going to be a rough time for them. So good luck with that. All right. Fallout New Vegas director says he would lead a new Fallout game if granted creative freedom. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. Fallout New Vegas director Josh Sawyer has said that he'd work on a new Fallout title as long as certain creative criteria were met. In the second of his recently launched Q&A series on his YouTube channel, the Pentiment director said he would happily return to Fallout, depending on the level of creative freedom he'd be granted. Any project that has to do with what are we doing? What are the boundaries? What am I allowed to do and not allowed to do? Sawyer said when asked by a fan about returning to the series. I think with any IP, especially one I've worked with before, what do I want to do this time that I wasn't able to do last time? If those constraints are just really constraining, then it's not appealing because who wants to work on something where the one thing they want to explore is not possible? Enthusiasm for more Fallout titles from the team behind New Vegas has been growing for years. Last year, original Fallout co-creators Tim Kaine and Leonard Boyarsky expressed their enthusiasm for a potential new Fallout New Vegas remaster. The longtime partners, who most recently co-directed Obsidian's The Outer Worlds, told The Gamer that they'd be keen to see the studio's 2010 Fallout game revisited. Not that it's up to me, but wouldn't a graphical remaster of Fallout New Vegas be awesome? Kaine said in an interview. It would be awesome. Boyarsky agreed. So the thing with Josh Sawyer is he's like kind of sick of just doing the work for hire thing or coming in and working on someone's project that he's not interested in. So he's got to be very interested. He said this publicly as well. That's why Pentiment was the project he ended up working on last time, because it's something that's interested him, and he had the freedom to do it at Obsidian. So I imagine they would have to match that level of, oh, you want to get into your specific bullshit, Josh? Okay, you could do that and use the canvas of Fallout or Fallout New Vegas 2, whatever it would be. But the fact that he's even saying this publicly is going to, I think, haunt him, maybe not be the right word. He's saying it publicly. He clearly kind of seems to want to do this. But if it doesn't happen, people are going to bring this up for the rest of his life now because they want him to make this game.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe it'll push Microsoft into actually greenlighting a new.
I mean, I think Microsoft wants it more than anybody, right?
Yeah, maybe this will help move it ahead. No, I mean, God, we talk to developers all the time. Imagine just like you made one game and that's all anyone asks you about for so long, and then like. Yeah, getting to, maybe, and then imagine like 12 years later, a massive acquisition happens and people are like, hey, you're making another one? You're making another one? You're making another one? I'm glad he's like got this on the record so that he can point to it.
Yeah,
because
true.
I imagine he must just get asked it all the time. Yep. It'd be really cool though. Like, I mean, there is so much good momentum behind Fallout right now, especially after the TV show. 76 is doing really well. The time would be now to go back to New Vegas, especially given the tease at the end of the Fallout TV show.
Yep, I think, yes. And I think that it feels like the right project for the right team with the right director for Microsoft. Like, everything just feels like it's lining up where like Fallout is at its zenith in terms of cultural relevancy.
Zenith.
Yeah, there it is.
Hell yeah.
That's one of my favorite TV brands. And the show, clearly is responsible for a lot of that. But New Vegas is also at a peak of its own in terms of people's like looking back at that and loving it more and more and more and getting more of their friends to play it and more people sort of looking back and be like, that was great. And it's the specific kind of game that we want more of from Fallout, not necessarily more Bethesda style. And I think Bethesda's at a point also where they're like, a little bit licking their wounds after Starfield, minor wounds. I don't know however big the wounds are, who knows, but like minor licking of wounds. And they are also so busy that they know they can't get to a Fallout very soon. So again, just it feels like circumstances have lined up to lead to this maybe happening. And as I've said before, I know Obsidian and Microsoft have had a conversation about some sort of New Vegas follow-up. Not anything more than that as far as I'm aware. I don't know, but they definitely have talked about it. So yeah, maybe this could happen. I think that would be excellent to see. All right. A report that the gaming market continues to grow despite all of the cuts. This is from Marcus Persson at Game Reactor. The past 2 years have been trying to say the least for the gaming industry. Redundancies, downsizing, and closures have become commonplace news headlines. Last year, over 10,000 people lost their jobs, and between January and July this year, a further 11,200 people were made redundant. But despite these gloomy figures, the gaming market is growing, with new figures showing an increase in global turnover. GameIndustry.biz reports an expected annual turnover of $187.7 billion, which is certainly less than expected, but it's still an increase of 2.1% compared to 2023. In addition, the PC segment is predicted to grow the most, which is attributed to weak console launches and increased support for crossplay. Lucy, this sounds about right. This continues to sound like where the industry is at. These companies are still making a lot of money. They're making it's growing. It's maybe not growing as fast as inflation, but it's right there. It's not too far behind that. So that they're a little bit feeling the pressure there, but they are growing. But I think the question has been, where is the growth happening? Because I think we see the growth happening in a handful of games, and then anything outside of that sphere is going to be like, oh, you are good luck making your money back on your game, it feels like. And that's like, yeah, so the central part of the gaming continues to grow taller, and then meanwhile, all of like the fertile land that used to be out there for everyone to come in there and make a game and sell it has sort of, that continues to fall away. That's how I'm reading it. How does it feel to you?
It just feels like, as with anything, line must go up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the Google figures about, they had thousands of layoffs and then they still made billions in profit per quarter. It's just this capitalist hellscape that we live in where, breaking even and doing well enough to survive isn't enough. The line always has to go up and people have to suffer.
Yep. And when they are looking at like, oh, it's only 2% growth and that isn't keeping up with inflation, what's something we can do to improve our bottom line of how much we're actually bringing in? Like the top line's fine, want plenty of revenue. That's all great. But the bottom line wasn't looking so good. So what can we do? Let's lay off, a bunch of people. And that's, continues to be the frustrating thing that, it wasn't always this way. I say this before. There was a time where layoffs to protect your bottom line was just never even an option for hundreds of years and we've had companies for a very long time. And that was just something they never did until relatively recently. And now it's become an epidemic, and we can't sort of turn off that faucet. That said, the industry, like the interest from people to play games is still very high. People spending money on that hobby, still very high. I think the industry has just sort of put themselves in a corner with, we have these forever games, and now they're like, oh shit, people are playing these games forever. And so that means all the growth is really focused in these very specific areas. How do we sort of introduce new things that enable the industry to grow even more and get these people to spend money on multiple games like that? And it's like, oh, they don't do that. People just want their one hobby game. You've given them that. And now the industry is sort of suffering for a because of its own success, which is just like, I feel like a lot of people did predict that we would end up here.
Suffering from success,
just like us, right? But I think that this industry is going to have to just kind of, like, there will be growing pains with this. They're just going to have to deal with these pains and figure out what it looks like on the other side. And at a certain point, I do think the interest in a handful of games will wane enough that some new thing, some shiny new bell will come along, it'll ring, and people will start paying attention to that. But like, is that going to happen to Fallout or Fortnite anytime soon? Probably not, right?
No, it's also weird. Like, if you follow Matt Piscatella and see all the Circana reports, like every month, it's 6 of the top 10 are games that were released 5 years ago.
Yep, 5 years ago.
And so it's like, it's weird that they have all of the attention, they dominate the mind share, I guess, and the zeitgeist, and there's just I don't know, it's weird. It's tougher than ever because anyone could put something on Steam. It's, the amount of games that are being put on that platform every single day, cutting through the noise. It's tough. So no, I'm hoping for a few more games to really pop off.
Same.
In the next couple of years.
Speaking of which, here's a game that could pop off. Dragon Age Veilguard release date is coming tomorrow. So this is a tweet. Let me open this right now and see what they said here. Loading. The release date for Dragon Age the Veilguard will be revealed tomorrow. We're excited to share this moment with our fans with a release date trailer, and in the coming weeks we'll also have high-level warrior combat gameplay, Companions Week, and more. Man, Companions Week, people are going to be fucking out of pocket on that one. Dragon Age Veilguard, I've heard weeks ago, October is what they were aiming for, but that was always like, aiming for, it could go either way, could come earlier, could come later, but October is what they were aiming for, so I'm still expecting that. They have, in fact, they have a lineup here of stuff that's happening. Companions Week is August 26th, and developer Discord Q&A is later in August, and then September 3rd we have an IGN first, and then something else in September, and that kind of makes it feel like they're leading up to something happening in October. So yeah, wouldn't be surprised. You are a Dragon Age freak, right, Lucy James? Are you excited about this?
I am. Yeah, I hosted the Companions panel at Comic-Con.
That's right, you did.
So I got to meet the actors behind some of the new Companions and learn a little bit about what they're going to be like. I'm very excited. It's I don't know, like, it's been 10 years since Inquisition, and Trespasser, like, ended on a big old cliffhanger. And so I'm super stoked. And also, like, I'm just very glad that they're not doing the multiplayer stuff. It is all single player. It's going to be everything I've seen of it. I'm really, really excited for. So I just can't wait.
Yeah, it seems like they made a lot of the right choices when they were confronted with like 2 paths to take, and they're like, we should go with what we're good at. And we could try some new stuff in that space, but we should go with the single player narrative RPG that we are known for. That trailer that did get revealed at Summer Game Fest, wherever it was, I know a lot of people were like, this is not what I was asking for, but that's not the game, right? That was a cinematic trailer that has very little to do with how the game is actually going to look and feel and play, right? So as someone who's seen a little bit more of it, because they did do, like, they showed people at Summer Game Fest the game a little bit. I saw the first hour. So you saw the first hour, right? So coming out of that, and then talking to people who are working on the game, how are you feeling about it? You say you're excited. Do you think people should be concerned about that trailer, or are you like, no, hey, Dragon Age fans, I think it's going to be okay? That trailer's a tone piece. Like, I don't think it's very. I mean, like, it's a. I think I'm gonna say it.
the Heroes choice, the David Bowie Heroes, I was like, oh, don't do that.
Yep.
It's like it's a personal bugbear of mine. If you're watching a TV show, Lady Jane Grey, calling you out on this.
Oh, shit.
If your character is in any way rebellious and you play the song Rebel Rebel by David Bowie, I think you should never be allowed to work in film and TV again.
I think any sort of literal soundtrack that is the same what is happening. The one that it comes to mind always is Captain Marvel or whatever is I'm Just a Girl by No Doubt,
which hadn't even been released by when the movie was set.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. Dude, when I saw Captain Marvel, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's fine. This is when I started falling out of love with Marvel, and then the Just a Girl drop, and I was like, I hate this. Like, I almost stood up and left. I didn't because it was at the end of the movie, but it's just like, well, the other songs exist anyway. And so the Dragon Age trailer definitely had an element of that where it was like you could just be a different song, like, but I think. From what I saw, and like the way that they're talking about doing the first hour, where it's like the quote that they said is that they wanted the first hour of Veilguard to be like the ending of any other game.
Okay, interesting.
So they do some cool shit at the end of the prologue. But the thing about Dragon Age, the thing that is really the thing that makes the franchise connect with people, and with me in particular, are the companions. And so I'm super excited that they have this Companions Week. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I just want to get into, like, I've been playing a lot of smaller games recently, and I just really want to get into a big, long RPG.
Yeah, I mean, I think that game's going to hit at the exact right time. I think there's a good chance that is like the big fall game for a lot of people. Rebel and Sympathy for the Devil are definitely two songs I would put on the Mount Rushmore of songs that can't be used in movies anymore.
You know what? I'm just gonna say it. I'm at the point. I'm at the point where
I'm thinking of. Thank you, Chad. Yeah.
I'm at the point where the Wilhelm scream is just.
Yeah, it's too noticeable at this point. Yeah,
it's too used.
I think I like it in games still. I think when I hear in a game, I'm not expecting it, but in a movie, it's too much. All right. Let's hit this. Yeah, last couple here. No, the last one right here. Sakurai says that he basically did not make Smash Brothers because he beat someone so bad in King of Fighters 95, and that had no influence on Smash Brothers. This is from Nintendo News. Super Smash Brothers creator Masahiro Sakurai recently recited an experience that he had in the arcades back in the day, which when people heard it years ago, believed that it influenced the nature of the Super Smash Brothers franchise. However, it turns out that this rumor is incorrect. He recently debunked the long-running rumor on his personal account on Twitter. Here's what happened. He said, a challenger jumped into the game. I went on to fight them. This is in King of Fighters 95. I went on to fight them and landed my moves with style. With Takuma Sakazaki, I jumped, then did a strong punch, uppercut, Kuon Ken, Hien Shippu Kaiuku, and a Zaren Suzuken. Listen, I don't know. A fancy flashy combo with 3 special moves, one right after the other. But something was off, Sakurai begins. The other side wasn't fighting back. When I took a peek over at the other side, I was surprised to find a run-of-the-mill couple sitting there. The girlfriend was with the one playing. I couldn't help but think I messed up. Like, basically, they're just trying to have a good time, and he's sitting there doing his awesome triple special move and, like, thinking he's got hot shit. But people thought that was the thing that he's like, okay, I want to make sure everyone always has fun in Super Smash Brothers. And he says he does think that, but that's not the reason why. When playing games with other people, I make it a point to be as kind as possible to beginner level players. Some say it's impolite to hold back, but that's just not true. Some rumors have suggested that Super Smash Brothers was created as a result of the story I discuss in this episode, but I can confirm that's not the case. This experience had no influence on the concept behind Smash Brothers. I do like the idea that people are like, why is Smash Brothers the way it is? Maybe it's because Sakurai just beat the hell out of these people so bad and he felt terrible and he wanted to make a more friendly game. And it's like, well, have you met Smash Brothers players? They're not friendly either. So that's not the case.
No. I recently played Smash when we were shooting star players against Monet Exchange, and I got absolutely destroyed. And so I can confirm, it doesn't matter how cute and cuddly those characters are. A defeat is still a defeat.
Yep, and those people that play the game that way, where it's like, it's a one-on-one, no items, they are playing a different game. Absolutely. All right, that does it for the headlines. I got a poll question I will get up here in a second. While I'm doing that, Lucy James, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, tell people about Star Players, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so find me everywhere, Lucy James Games. We have a new episode of Jeff's Bizarre Adventure going up today, I believe. Be one of my least favorite JoJo episodes, just because it was just one of those weird ones where they just felt like a bit of a weird side story, but getting back into the good stuff in the second episode. So it's overall, it's a very fun episode of Jeff's Bizarre Adventure. Going to Gamescom next week. Star Players is still going. So this week there is a very fun chat with me and Rahul Kohli, who is from iZombie, Midnight Mass, Mike Flanagan projects. He's also in a bunch of video games, and I will say we did record this well before the SAG strike. Rahul is a very fun chat. We also there was a point where he and I just kind of riffed like Alan Partridge stuff for about half an hour, and one of the editor's notes was literally just like, we have to cut all this. I was like, oh, come on.
All right, so, put that on a special cut just for me, please.
Channel. I think I froze again.
Yeah, you're back now. It's all right. All right. Let's see here. Poll question from Monday. Do you want to support dual screen, or do you want Nintendo to support dual screen gaming on the Switch 2? 58% said no, 42% said yes. So I think if Nintendo can do this without getting in its own way and not causing problems, and I think specifically enabling publishers who don't want to support dual screens to release games for the Switch without issue, and there we go, we got Lucy back now. Then I think this is just fine. I think they should support it. But if they cannot release a Switch 2 without the dual screens being a problem, where it's like, no, you have to support that and that this is a core to the experience, then I don't want them to do it. Just ignore it. Just don't do that at all, actually. All right, new poll question. I'll get it written here for you in a second, Jan, to get it posted. But we're going to do, when do you think the Switch 2 is coming out? And we'll go with April, May, and then we'll put a vague summary time, and then we'll put fall. So those will be your 4 options. And we'll get the results of that and talk about it on Game Mess Mornings on Giant Bomb tomorrow. Speaking of Giant Bomb, as Lucy mentioned, we'll have more Jeff's coming. We will have a Delight Club later today, because Blight Club cannot happen because Dan went to UK for some reason. And he won't, I think they'll all be in Germany next week, so no Blight Club next week either. But this week we'll do a Delight Club. I think we're going to play Daikatana, but for Game Boy Color. We're going to play for Game Boy Color this time. So it's going to be a little bit better. Well, we might mess around with some other John Romero games. And then anything else happening? We'll have a voicemail dump truck on Thursday, of course. We might play some Fortnite. The Marvel characters, the X-Men characters got released. And Jan's got to play as a Cyclops. So we want to give him that. Maybe we could do all Cyclops. I'm not sure if Jan will let us do that. Well, the BCR, where me and Jan will talk about our review of the Borderlands movie, because we both saw that. And it's I can't have done that for nothing, Lucy.
No, everything has to have a purpose.
Yeah, especially that.
I'm really sorry that you guys went through that.
Yeah, boy. Go see it, everybody. I don't want to be alone. All right. I think that is going to do it for us today. Lucy James, thank you so much for speaking with me about video games today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I mean, God, sorry about my internet. Thing is that I think it's just Discord, because everything else was fine.
Yeah, I will try a different server next time closer to your place, see if that helps. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.